Hey everybody, okay, welcome to the first plant vlog. So starting off, we've got the 2 basil plants. I harvested a bunch of it last night. This one's looking a little sparse, but the other one in the back is looking a little fuller. I want to make some clones off these plants, but I want to wait for these little offshoots to get a bit bigger. Next up, we've got the jalapeno plants, which are definitely getting a little too tall. I'm gonna have to raise the light today, but they're doing really well. And you can just sort of see in here the beginnings of some flowers. Oh, there's one right there. That little flower is going to become a jalapeno pretty soon. Got 3 of those plants. This one's the smaller one, but I think with a little bit of a raise of the light today, I'm gonna change their nutrient solution. He'll catch up. In the back, we've got a little Swiss chard, and I was just waiting for this one's roots to get past the cups. Let's see if we have. We have. Okay, so in that case, we can immediately send him down to the deep water culture with the other Swiss chard. We've got Swiss chard down here, and we've got a couple different kinds of lettuce. We've gotten super tall. We had a big salad last night. We've got romaine lettuce, and we've got buttercrunch lettuce, but that one's ready to go, so we'll just do that right now. So I'm just gonna pop it in here, take out kind of this filler container, and pop that little one in here to grow. There we go. Now it's going to get a little extra oxygen from the water stone in the deep water culture bin, and yeah, it's going to grow nice and big. This is the eldest Swiss chard. A bunch of the Swiss chards that I started when I first started this project just didn't take, except for this one, and then I started all the other ones maybe 2 weeks afterwards. So I'll have to deal with that. We've got some cilantro back here that's doing good. The peppers, the dill is doing great. So normally they wouldn't be in clear jars, but I have drowned this one's roots, and I'm just observing them for the next couple days to see if I have murdered this plant. I don't think I have. I'm gonna probably return it to a foiled container very soon. Some extra nutrient solution. This is the cilantro I almost killed by overwatering it. And we're just gonna set that aside and pray. And we've got some 3 baby tomato plants here. They're just starting to flower, and they're also getting a little tall for the light. So the light is gonna have to come up and be hooked up to here. And then I'm gonna repot these tomatoes into bigger jars. Down here we've got some baby tomato cuttings. I don't think this one's gonna survive, but we'll see. And I've just cut them, and I'm waiting for them to take root so I can plant them. Okay, so deep water culture is basically a container in which you cut holes so your plant's roots reach water, and you aerate it with an aquarium bubbler. So I'll show you. We can take a look underneath, and you can sort of see the root system. It's a little dark, and you see all those bubbles. It's just a little simple aquarium bubbler bubbling in there. And what's happening is that the plants get their water and their oxygen while at the same time. They need both to grow, and what tends to happen in deep water culture is that because the water is so oxygen rich, the plants tend to do a bit better. So I've chosen for both of these bins plants that are kind of defined as cut and come again. So what that means is, even though we've cut this lettuce for salad last night, it should pretty much all grow back or keep growing. And same with the Swiss chard. So when you cut the Swiss chard, it's going to come back. There's like an itty bitty spinach here as well, same thing. So as long as the plants haven't like left their delicious leafy phase and are now at their like seed producing and that sort of thing phase, it'll be tasty and it'll just grow again. So the plants up top are in something called a Kratky system, and I'll show you. So you've got this jalapeno pepper plant. It's in a self-contained container. It's wrapped in tinfoil just so light doesn't get in there and form algae. This one's a sick plant, so I just want to see what's happening with the roots. And if I lift it up, you'll see the different kinds of roots. So, do you see that there are some fuzzy roots on the side? That's not mold. Those are actually roots that are specially designed to take in air and oxygen, and then you've got kind of your traditional water root below them. So yeah, plants need both, and they can breathe with their roots. So here are some new baby plants I'm starting. They need to be in kind of an enclosed container while they're little babies, just because they need a good amount of humidity and warmth. So, and here is the spinach and, hi Dizzy, no plans for you. The spinach and romaine. So the spinach is a little slower to start than the romaine. Romaine, you can see just a little itty bitty baby plants starting, and they're in something called Rockwool. Rockwool is basically just spun molten rock that's super fluffy and then compressed into these little squares, and it's an inert growing material, so it's great to start seeds in. And over here we've got a little more varied of a setup. So I've got a bunch of really big tomato plants. There's different kinds of tomato plants. There's determinate and indeterminate, and these are indeterminate plants. So that means that they will grow forever, while determinate plants will just stop growing and producing after a time. Over here is going to be a habanero. We've got some chives. There's going to be some thyme in here. You can see that start of that kind of fuzzy air root that's not mold. For you, thank you. Or another tomato, and then there's going to be some more Swiss chard in here. And that probably take like 2 weeks. So yeah, these probably aren't going to go into cups for like another 2 weeks at least. I was kind of hoping to keep them outside in these containers. Hi cat, you shouldn't be on the table. Hello. But the weather has been kind of raining off and on, and I don't want to drown them, so just have to wait. Okay, so this is 4 liters of water, and in this container I'm going to mix the nutrients for the plants to eat. So I use the root farm nutrients, so it's a 2-part solution. You've got your base solution, so part 1, and then cat, buddy, no counter kitty. You've got part 2, and part 2 kind of depends on what you're growing. So this is a tomato and veggie nutrient solution. Before now, all the plants were in just kind of like an all-purpose solution, but now I have this. So this is apparently going to help veggie production. Yeah, so I'm super excited. So into this 4 liters, because these aren't super mature plants, I'm only going to put probably 1.5 teaspoons of each of these solutions, and I'm going to mix it super well before I add the second solution. So these are just two 2-liter pickle jars that I've been saving pretty much for this moment. I've just wrapped them in tinfoil to prevent any light from getting in and algae forming. If algae forms inside your container, then it's going to eat all the nutrients that the plant wants to be eating, so that's no good. And these are 2 liters, so I want to leave some space for air. I'm going to fill them with like 1.75 liters of the nutrient solution we just made. Alright, so just gonna grab the plant. Oh, how much you come out? There we go. So the plant is in a little cup, and you can see maybe why it needs a bigger home. Yeah, look at those roots, and like look at those roots compared to that cup. Time for an upgrade. And you can see its little fuzzy ear roots, its regular roots. So we're in a good place. We're just kind of gonna stuff it in. And that's that. The other one, I do have the 3rd tomato plant, and I have a 3rd giant pickle jar. It just needs to get washed. I thought it was in the dishwasher last night, but it's not. And you don't want to use any sort of dirty jar. You want them to be as clean as possible. So I want to sterilize it with the dishwasher. Here we go. Yeah, that one too. Like, again, its root system is too big for this cup now. In we go. And, I mean, try not to squish the roots, but it's pretty forgiving. You can just kind of wiggle it in there. There we go. And this extra nutrient solution is still perfectly good. So I'm just gonna toss it in to like the deep water culture with the lettuce and such. And they'll drink it up, no problem. And that's about it for today's garden update. Everything's been topped off. We moved the light. Next week, I'm gonna turn this shelf into like a microgreens and baby plant shelf, but oh, what, you don't want microgreens? So yeah, thanks for watching, and if you've got any questions about hydroponic garden growing, let me know below.